Unboxing.
In today's video, I'm going to show you how to swap out your transmission mount for the best one on the market. So this right here is Creative Steel's polyurethane transmission mount that is used in a wide variety of Benz vehicles. Most notably 722.6 5-speed automatics, as well as 716 6-speed manuals. And also not to forget the later 722.9 automatic transmissions. A quick glance at this thing will reveal to you that this thing is definitely quality. It's all billet and anodized material, as well as nice polyurethane bushing inside. It is fully rebuildable and has all of the regular factory mounting locations. Now, why do I consider this thing the best transmission mount on the market? A, cost effectiveness. So if you're looking at replacing your transmission mount for any old Benz, you're gonna spend anywhere between, let's say, $15 and $40 for a no-name brand to a well-known brand for the regular automatic transmission mounts. And if you're looking for a more performance OEM option, you would go with something like the Black Series transmission mount, which is gonna run you about $80 to $100. This right here is $130, and with my coupon code ANDERSEN10, you can get a little bit off that. So the cost is more, but why do I still say it's the most cost-effective option? Well, simply, this is a lifetime mount with a lifetime replacement of bushing if you ever need. I'm running their engine and transmission mounts on basically every car I have here that I can, and they all stood the test of time. For instance, my C55 AMG 6-speed manual swap that a lot of you guys know well on this channel, I've been running their mounts for about 4+ years, and they still feel like the day that I installed them. And if you're like me and have a BMW E36 chassis mounted shifter in your C55, you can ask them for an upgraded durometer bushing, which is a little stiffer over what they use in these. I think they use around 60, 70A. I think in that car I have around an 80 or 90A for the bushing. Now, if you're gonna order an OEM mount, you're gonna be replacing it more often, and at some point it's gonna need to be replaced, versus this is basically one and done. No matter how many times you take it in and out to change things, you can always throw this back in and reuse it. Now, the only option I'd say where cost effectiveness doesn't come into play is if it's for a car that maybe you don't plan to keep or you don't plan to do any performance oriented driving with. Now, the other reason I would say this is the best on the market is because if you have this installed, you're gonna guarantee the best driveline alignment that you can get without having to worry about the stock mounts with the sag and things that they do over time when they get old and expired. Which means you're keeping your engine mounts happier, your drive shaft happier, and your differential happier. And as far as performance goes, these things provide a dynamic change, especially when paired with the engine mounts. If you install this alone, if you have a worn out factory mount, you're of course gonna feel a difference just as you would if you replace it with an OEM mount. If you replace it versus a fresh OEM mount, you still might feel a little bit of change. The biggest difference of a fresh OEM mount versus this is this won't change its feel over time. It'll still feel the same as when you install it. And if you pair this with the engine mounts, your car will feel drastically different. When I first installed both of these in the C55 years ago, I couldn't believe how much straighter the car would pull, how much more dynamic it felt, just overall engaging shifts, etc. And that was when it was still automatic. Which most people out there looking for these are gonna still have, of course, the 722.6 automatics in their cars or 722.9s. And the last reason why I would say this is a worthy upgrade, especially if it's a car that you love and want to put the best parts on, is simply there's nothing better than this quality and performance wise. And it's such an easy swap out that why not do it, especially if you're a DIYer. So I know I've probably yapped a mouthful at this point, so we'll go ahead and throw this in and just get on with the install. But Creative Steel has helped me out for a long time on this channel. I've been a long time supporter of this channel, and it would mean the world to me for you guys to support them in return, just as I will for the rest of my days working on these cars. So if you need engine and transmission mounts and you have the budget to make it happen, I wouldn't skip a beat to recommend these to anybody. That said, let me show you guys how simple this is to throw in the car. As beautiful as it is out here, I think we got to get back into the garage. CLK is sitting over here. Now, I already have this thing up on jack stands because I was replacing some sway bar end links, which you guys have probably seen a video for, but I'm gonna go ahead, get out of the car, get set up, and I'll show you guys just how easy it is to swap this thing in. All right, you guys, venturing under the car here to show you guys what exactly you'll need. Up top, you have two 16mm bolts on each side, one with a ground cable coming off of it, and on the bottom, you have two 13mm bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead, undo the top and then the bottom. With the transmission supported with a jack, you can basically just swap the mounts in and out without doing anything else. So make sure, of course, that's in place. Otherwise, transmission is going to want to sag and mount's not going to want to come out. So other options you have is taking off the whole bracket, but you don't really need to do that. You can if you want to. it would be 3 more 16mm bolts on each side to get the whole bracket loose. All right guys, 2 16mm bolts are out. Gonna go ahead and get the last 2 off the bottom here. Two of our 13s. And again, if you have the transmission supported correctly, this thing will basically just slide right on out. So there we go. Let's take a look at this thing. All right, you guys, so this is a factory style. This is not like an AMG or Black Series or anything like that, just a regular factory style. And basically what happens with these is over time, these rubber isolators on the sides and the bottom will kind of deteriorate, and eventually the mount will be hard to show you guys, but it'll be able to flex all over the place, and eventually it'll start sagging, and this bottom portion will basically be touching with the bottom of the mount. At that point, you're gonna feel a lot of vibration, probably most notably when like in neutral or park or something like that, but you'll just notice performance of the transmission might not feel as crisp, shifts might not feel as good, and overall you might sense, and you might feel, you know, some harsh vibrations or clunks of transmission. So again, Creative Steel mount has the full surrounding polyurethane bushing, keep everything nice and stable where it should be. And again, this thing is easily rebuildable if you want to. Basically just zip off these Allen bolts, the whole plate comes off, and you got access to the bushing and can rebuild if you need to or want to swap out for a different durometer. The old style on my C55 has a C-clip basically, but those are phased out now. This is the newer version, so you will get this kind if you do end up ordering one. And on the bottom side, it doesn't matter which way you mount this, but of course I like to have the logo facing towards the back so you can see it. But yeah, 3 bolts on one side, 1 bolt on the other. On the factory mounts, you'll see a lot of times they'll only have 1 bolt on each side, or some of them will have all 3 bolts. Those are for mounting on different chassis transmission brackets, but most of them will have, you know, one of those. So Creative Steel just puts them there just in case to cover all different models. All right guys, again, literally been like 2 minutes so far. Let's go ahead and throw this thing in. All right guys, did end up having to loosen up our bracket here a little bit just to get it to line with the bottom bolts. So again, all those are 16mm. I didn't take them all the way out, just loosened up so the bracket has a little bit of flex. I think it's just the way, the angle of the car, the way it's sitting right now, and how I'm jacking up the transmission, because I've done this before and didn't have to do that. So anyways, easy though. Let's go ahead, tighten up all the bolts, and we should be good. All right, you guys, just like that, we are done. Got our beautiful mount installed, everything tightened up. I don't know the exact torque specs for all this, guys, but it doesn't need to be extremely tight, just good and tight. No ugga is needed really. Just, you know, tighten down things like you do normally. Good feel. So yeah, we're good down there. Hey guys, well, easy as that. Our old mount is out, and overall about a 10-15 minute job depending on what kind of tools you're working with and how you lift up your car, etc. But yeah, go ahead, recycle that thing and move on. That'll go ahead and do things there. Pretty self-explanatory how this all works, but hopefully a little bit of the visual has helped you out and my explanation of kind of my thoughts on the transmission mount itself. Again, if you want to pick up one for yourself, use my code Andersen10 at creativesteel.com and get yourself a new transmission mount. That's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.